I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. I 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 need it!
Hello again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm Chris, and this is part two of quitting marijuana through secular means. So today I want to talk about using the art of conversation as a tool. What really inspired me to talk about this subject was a movie called Dinner with Andre, which premiered back in 1981. The movie's very interesting. It's the first of its kind. It's sort of revolutionary. It was very experimental. At the time, there was no other movie like it. It's basically 2 hours of just two friends who getting together at dinner and talking. They're conversating throughout the whole movie. There's really not much action. Uh, there's a few times where a waiter will come up and check on them, and there's not much of a soundtrack. There's a very lovely song that comes out at the end of the movie, but you have to wait until all the way in the end to actually listen to the song. It's a very nice song. Uh, the movie isn't for everyone. I'm not gonna go out of my way and recommend it, but I enjoyed it, and it really got me thinking. It got me thinking very critically. Um, when I've always liked films, and when I was a kid, I was really into the movie Back to the Future. And during the quarantine, I was ordering a lot of books, and I was ordering a lot of novelizations of films. And for the first time ever, I got to sit down and actually read the novelization of all three Back to the Futures, and it started getting me to think very critically about the movie and how I was captured and enamored by the aesthetics of the movie, and I never really thought about how stupid the movie really is. And what I mean is, during the movie Back to the Future, if you notice, Marty McFly is carrying a photograph of his family, and as events are, since he travels accidentally into the past after the professor is gunned down by a terrorist because he bought plutonium on the black market. Marty is changing events in the past, and as he's changing events in the past, he notices that members of his family are disappearing from the photo. That was the whole plot behind Back to the Future. But now as an adult, when I think about how absurd this actually is, because isn't a photograph print? Why would people disappear from the photo? It's as if somebody took a photo of and his family standing in front of a tree. Did somebody take a photo of just the tree? Well, anyways, that's a different subject. But I want to get back to Dinner with Andre. Now, what I got out of the movie is, I think maybe Andre is a communist. I think that's his whole point. That's his whole conclusion. I mean, during the movie, uh, it seems like Andre's trying to convince Wally. Wally's the protagonist, which you can hear. He's like also the narrator. You can hear Wally's thoughts in the beginning of the movie as he's, you know, traveling to go meet Andre. One thing that I did notice after being in quarantine and for 3 years and being, socially isolated for so long, and after the quarantine was over and I got out into the public, I was in such shock. And one of the things I noticed was that talking to people and conversating with them really relaxed me, and it really also made it seem like it made time go by much faster. And I started feeling a sense of reward and pleasure from meeting new people, getting to know them and connecting strong bonds. Something that I was never able to achieve with marijuana, because with marijuana, the only thing that's bringing you together is something superficial, which is a drug. I noticed that a lot of the friends that I had, we didn't really have anything in common. The only thing that we had in common was that we used marijuana, and I don't feel like that's enough to form a strong friendship or a strong bond. One of the things that's going to help you quit is using conversation as a tool. Humble yourself, listen. Stop talking, just listen for a while. Accept that you aren't superior, that you aren't above the other person that you're speaking with. Um, Try and learn from the person that you're talking with. But one of the things I noticed about this movie, and like I said, I find the character of Andre very interesting. Now, Andre is the older man. He's already experienced life. He's been married. He talks about having an affair, as if maybe he's not satisfied with it. Maybe he wasn't satisfied with his partner. Maybe he's not satisfied with the conclusion of his life and where he is. Maybe he feels that he didn't achieve what he wanted to achieve, and he talks about a very the possibility of a very Orwellian society. I don't know if you guys have ever read Orson Welles' 1984, but he speaks about the 60s as if they were the peak of civilization. Now, the movie was filmed in 1981, about 2 decades after the 60s. And now, here in the present, the year 2025, we know that the 60s was civilization was barely getting warmed up. The character that I do really like the character of Wally. I relate more to Wally. It's also a coincidence that he's my age, and he seems like a hard worker. He accepts that the past is over, yet he cherishes the memories he had as a boy. He doesn't long for the past the way Andre does. See, as I noticed that as they're conversating, Andre makes it seem that civilization is sort of headed towards a dark future. He seems like a very pessimistic man, almost as if the world has turned him into a cynic. To me, he seems, and I hate to use this word, but he's kind of like an ungrateful brat. He doesn't really appreciate the things that he's accomplished, and like I said, he seems very unhappy. As for Wally, Wally enjoys his rewards. Such as his electric blanket. He doesn't dwell on why he's being rewarded and others aren't. Another thing I like about Wally is that Wally accepts the scientific method as the only way human beings can solve their problems. And Andre, on the other hand, is a dreamer. He speaks of mythological creatures as if they were real. He talks about fauns or satyrs, or in Greek mythology, Pan, those creatures that they're like half men, half goat. I really don't understand Andre at all. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a film critic, and as a matter of fact, I've never really liked critics, the film critics. The only reason I ever tuned in to watch film critics is to maybe get a hint or a preview of new releases. But they always speak so absolute, like as if they're trying to establish subjectivity, as if their reviews are objective facts. It's sort of like if they're idols. And of course, I have no idols, for only religious fools have idols. Like, I'll give you an example. I really like the movie Showgirls, even though a lot of people shit on that movie. And Ebert, from Siskel and Ebert, said that Nomi, the protagonist, was very hard on the eyes. But Who cares what Ebert thinks? I mean, maybe she's not there to entertain him. Maybe she's there to entertain me. I'm just saying, like, I don't really get all these film critics, and there's more of them now than ever. Back in the day, there wasn't a lot of film critics. Cisco and Ebert were the most well known. Now these days, everyone's a critic. Everyone wants to, and then they get on Rotten Tomatoes, and if the movie it doesn't have enough stars, they just won't give it a shot. They won't watch it, and I feel like that's a shame. And I've noticed that people do that a lot, not just with movies. They do it with actual places and events, which is really sad. Some people won't travel to certain places if they have poor reviews, so they'll never get to experience it for themselves. They'll always take somebody's word for it, and that's one thing that anecdotes are not reliable. People's anecdotes shouldn't be taken seriously because they're just they're unreliable. Humans are just full of flaws, and they could potentially lie to you. But one of the tools that I used for quitting marijuana was the conversation. Just keep talking to people, keep meeting people. Don't give up. Get out of your shell, and you'll see that as you continue to meet new people, time will go on, and life will seem more unbearable, and you might make connections. You might meet a new girl, you might meet a new guy, who knows? I don't know what you're into, but like I said, the only way you're going to quit is meeting new people. And I'm sorry, there's times that you have to abandon people who are holding you back. If there is a person who has a lot of influence over you, yeah, you want to be independent. The thing is that I've noticed that the only way you can be successful at sobriety is through independence. It is to have an independent spirit, to man up, to grow up, and not live in the past like Andre and just dwell on things that he's missing out on. Like I said, it doesn't seem like Andre's very satisfied with the present, because he's always talking about the past. Throughout the whole movie, Andre just goes on and on about the things he did, whereas Wally is living in the present moment. Wally's the real soldier, because when the movie starts, Wally's a go-getter. He's gung-ho about his life, and he's making it on his own, and he's married, whereas Andre is just, I don't know, like, I hate to sound so cliche, but Andre needs to pick himself up by the bootstraps, which is actually impossible. Well, it's a figure of speech, but if you have a lot of time in your hands and you're sort of the intellectual type and you're into philosophy, I definitely recommend Dinner with Andre. Now, if you're the type of a guy that just wants to see action and nudity and something lewd, then go watch Showgirls. That's another movie, because Nomi's kind of philosophical too. But that's all I have for today, guys. And like I said, conversation is key. Making new connections, forming new bonds, meeting new people, just becoming more sociable. And like I said, as you get to meet more people, time will pass by, and by the time you know it, hours have gone by, and next thing you know, it's the end of the week, and you've already been sober 5 or 7 days. Well, you guys have a good day, and keep up the good work.